Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's another mod stream with me. What's going on, dude? So, hopefully this is the only other one that we have to record like this. I mean, stream like this. I do have some stuff for this intro that I actually forgot to prepare beforehand because I'm epic. So I'll just do that on my other monitor real quick. But yeah, we got some stuff. I've been able to upload some videos. And by some, I mean 3, because 3. So, yeah. First up, we got this dad call. Great thumbnail, IMO. Last call for Brood War. We got some discussion about what's going on there and what we're going to be doing. So check that out. Up next, we got the channel map for November. If you're curious about what we're going to be getting up to in the month of November, this will inform you. And lastly, we've got another Crowpill video. Epic thumbnail. I'm sure everybody appreciates that one. So, yeah, that's it. So those are the things that I've got for you today. Those are the video content, videos, plural, that have gone up today. And obviously this will be the 4th one of the day because I will hopefully be able to upload this after I'm done here. Don't see why I wouldn't be able to. So that's sort of where we're at right now. There have been some updates to HYDRA. HYDRA actually posted a shot of the second behavior, or the behavior for the Star Sovereign, the intervention missiles. Without it operational, those units would definitely be overpriced. And so I'm glad that we got a chance to get that implemented before the patch goes live. Still no word on when that patch will go live, but it will go live. I promise. At some point, this patch will release. There have been so many delays. This one, nobody could have foreseen. It's a classic. So I guess that'll bring us to what we've been doing otherwise. I've obviously been working on some stuff for this particular full toilet thing. This map has not been touched since previous mod stream, but we have been able to get some work done on the Star Sovereign stuff, which is really exciting. And at some point, iQuare will send me some information on... he's actually going to push some code to me. I can still pull code. I guess as a bit of a demonstration here, I can pull code, but then I have this that I've been trying to push stuff to the dev commit, and it says unable to push origin, failed to write chunk header. The connection to the server was terminated abnormally. Basically, it took too long to upload like the 80 megabyte or whatever, 106 megabyte exe file. It took too long to push that, so I can't push anything as a result. So that's pretty frustrating, and as a result of that, I'm certainly not going to be able to push any changes on my end. I could, in theory, like slow upload some of these things to somebody else, and they could push it to both the dev and the beta commits. But that seems a little ass backwards, and I also can't even like get on and test anything in multiplayer, considering the circumstances. So it's pretty frustrating in that respect as well. That being said, we are going to get back to map development. We might pivot a couple times just because iQuare might send me some stuff pretty soon. And it will be certainly be interesting. Put it to you that way. So, I said before, there was supposed to be some stuff over here that would allow me to add another like higher platform area. I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking I could probably just stack high snow or higher snow on top of higher snow, similar to how I've done with this outer lying area, rather than worrying about outpost, because again, I don't really want to work on like custom tiles when I'm so strapped for time. And so I think I will probably do that. But I might actually just make it a very small bit of terrain features here, as opposed to like a large platform that you can walk on. Maybe it will have a ramp up to it or something, but it probably won't be super impactful. And I think instead I'll just have like a small mineral but gas base, you know, something like maybe 6 or 7 mineral fields and a geyser, something like this. And I think this will be what we have here, and it'll actually mostly be valuable based on the fact that it has a lot of build space associated with it, right? So I think that'll be where a lot of the value will come in there. And otherwise, we'll just like add a couple of bits and pieces over here, right? So that will be, I think, the last base added to that side of the map. Obviously, we still haven't added the high ground area to the bottom left, the base over here, but I think that those are the only two that are remaining. I might be able to squeeze one more somewhere else, but I don't know if it'll be necessary. Aside from that, I would like to also add a bit more stability to this area. I don't know how much other shit we're going to get around to doing. But yeah, I think something like this should help in the element of like defending in this base and also having a sort of a implied separation between this base and this base, which will be nice. So the only other thing I can think of is that we might need is something like this over here to aid in the defense of this base. And the problem with that, though, is we ended up getting a junk, like a repeated tile over there, so I wanted to make sure that that was separate. But yeah, I think that should do nicely. We're kind of going off of like trying to get the layout done. Oh yeah, there's a base that's going to be over here. But we're trying to get the layout done in a way where it's more or less complete the first time and we don't have to worry about much else. So that any issues that we have, we can like basically have as few issues as possible so that we don't have to worry about relying on updating stuff because there's no time for testing and there's no time for any of that shit. So under normal circumstances, a base like this would be really asinine. But because of the fact that we have access to we have that like game rule in HYDRA where workers don't provide collision when they're moving to or returning resources. That allows us to have a lot more flexibility with how we lay bases out. And so this base will still be, for the most part, buildable in that sense. We can even add a couple of bits of rocky snow here and there if we want to restrict buildability so that the bases don't get too out of whack, right? So that should be sufficient, I think. The other thing, obviously, if you end up having tanks over here, right, like this is going to be a mess for sure. Oh, I just realized we have a nice little hole in the... there we go. Fixed it. Didn't even see that. So yeah, we're going to be doing some nice bit and piece work now and again. Just little bits here and there, trying to flesh out the map's aesthetic where we can and add some important bits of separation to areas that need them the most. So that we add like a little bit of a buffer between certain areas, right? Like I'll probably put like a walking blocking doodad over here or something so that we don't have people coming out of this bridge and immediately pivoting. I mean, I guess alternatively I could just do this, right? Make that a little bit safer. Nice. So yeah. All right, I think we'll actually like commit to finishing one of these corners now. I guess I'll have to break out my brush palette. Of course, it's put in the most annoying directory possible. Oh yeah, and I did want to add a little bit of stuff over here. I just don't know. I'm not sure how to specialize or specify this sort of thing. I guess we'll just like line it up with stuff like this. Should be a piece of cake around here. Oh wait, I think that is wait. Is that accurate? No, I think this is not what's accurate or something. Yeah, that was what was out of whack. When the tones are identical, it's actually much harder than maybe it looks to make this work out. I forget what was it the north ramp that was fucked up? Yeah. Well, it's okay. I think we'll tile set index this so that we can get access to the higher snow ones. Assuming I have high snow regular ramps. I don't actually know if I do. I think this is it. No. Oh, I might not have any. Uh-oh. We might be stuck with the north-facing ramp then. Yeah, I think I don't have any. Well, ain't that just a darn shame. I guess that'll end up being a bit more of a defensive overlook than initially expected. Dude, that's impossible to look at. All right. Now we break out the index. Easy enough. Although some of these edges still look like impossibly difficult to read, but whatever. So we've got ourselves a nice little spot over there. Now we'll go ahead and do the same thing over here. Oh, I forgot. Not dealing in the same area anymore. We'll just use this as a placeholder. Obviously, slap in the correct variant later on. Sort of like what I did before with the top left area. Hey, wait a sec. What the fuck? I can't believe that's the wrong one in the brush. I'm so screwed. All right, well, whatever. All right, we're good there. And trying to think of what else we might need over in this area. Oh, actually, I already had some sort of idea for that. Again, I'm trying to like deviate from the pattern here that I left myself where possible. Okay. All right. Should be good now to fill this in. I really wish there was some sort of like way to fill an area or something, but because this is just like menial work, right? There's not a whole lot of value to doing it. Much like placing the tiles like this in the first place. The value is that there's no other way to do it, so you have to do it this way, pretty much. Okay. All right, I already did that one. Were there any others to do? Yeah, this one over here. All right. So we've got our setup over here. I guess it's kind of weird that there's not another like upper base over here. I definitely think that there's room for it in theory. There probably should be like a really close base for brown, like closer than this. So like maybe up on the ridge over here. Like maybe I could pull this in and like keep that area down there. Really difficult to access. And then have there be some resources over in this neck of the woods. And this could be the so that's 6. I mean, I'm walking back something that I was doing earlier where I obviously added like a bunch of extra resources to this guy where he had, I think, 12. Yeah. So now he's got 10 down here and 9 up here. I mean, that's still a pretty decent chunk. But yeah, I initially had planned on giving this guy a lot of leeway and a lot of stacked resources and all that stuff. Like a big stack of resources over here, really. That was initially the plan, but not sure that it worked out exactly. But another thing that this lets us do is toss a ramp down here. Okay. And then I guess we should move the geyser to this area. Okay. I feel like that's a decent improvement. We'll cut down on some of this protective cliff over here because that was really only there to protect the geyser. There are some like tiles that blend with that, but I don't remember how many. And tracking all of them down, it seems to be a fool's errand, to be honest. Like making sure that the blend is accurate and all that. Okay. So I think we've gone somewhere now with this whole lower strip. There's an area over here that could be made into an expansion as well if we really wanted to like saturate this bottom left-hand corner, but I think this is fine as like a pathway or whatever. Particularly if we decide it's, we're going to put a base up here anyway. Although I'm not sure, like this, the more I think about this, it feels like maybe this higher ground down here in the bottom should be used to greater effect, like with a larger radius or a larger surface area, sort of like how this, I guess they're kind of similar. I mean, this one has more like height to it, right? So there's more of it, but it's not that much more. It just feels like I should leverage the position a little bit more if I'm going to include something over there that has actual value. So I might have to expand the area anyway, is the sort of thought process I'm going off of right now. The one benefit that this base will offer is it's going to be very far away from a lot of other players. So I think under those grounds alone, it will be seen as an asset. Okay. I feel like that's good enough. We definitely need to add more features to the upper part of that. I guess real quick, while it's on my mind, I'll place the command center and all that shit. Oh wait, what am I? What am I, Kooky? We got 6 workers with Hydra, dude. All right. All right, looks like we are good to start doing a Star Sovereign test. That's what I was just checking on. Apparently it's in game hooks. That should do the trick there. Not at all the file we're looking for, but all right there. Get him. I like how even at maximum game speed, it's flipping. Where'd it go? So it's kind of like a bullet hell style of firing. I think the max range is still kind of messed up. Let's see what we got here. But it does seem to be working correctly. Mm. Yeah, so this is what needs to be changed, right? This needs to be set to 5 times 32, I think. And then it will only trigger when it finds units within 5 range of its central arc. And then it'll fire the missiles. So like, for example, now it shouldn't work until I'm close enough. Now the problem is, though, that the missiles are being self-detonated before, which means that somehow they must there must be some weird thing going on there. Time to bother iCore about it. What the fuck? I swear these Windows shortcuts are designed to be as goofy as possible. All right. Well, we will await his response, but that's a pretty neat thing, I think. Going back over here, where should we be jumping to next? Oh, I can already tell you, I have, just looking at this, there's like an idea over here that I think could be really cool, which is throw in a couple, here we go. If we were to do something like this, and then something like this. It's for one, a faster rotation through this area, but obviously it also allows you to have a positional advantage on anybody who's harvesting resources over in this area. That's like an example of like a very small tweak that I think adds a nice bit of interactivity to a certain area of the map that otherwise would not necessarily have access to a lot of gameplay, right? Like we're not allowing full access to this area because we have this little bit here blocking you from completely annihilating everything there. And obviously it's not that much of a rotation to get around either way. I guess it's a little, I mean, obviously you could just like chase them down the same way they came in if they come through the south, but if you rotate all the way around, it could be a little bit of a problem. But yeah, I just feel like that's a nice way to add a little bit more complexity to the area in terms of what strategies could work. Because the other concern that I had looking at this is you kind of have to go through the base in order to make this rotation, whereas now you can make this area more useful just by allowing this access way without even engaging with the resources at all. So it's like another reason to potentially go over there, which I like. As I sort of feel like in this case, in order to go and make like leverage this area, you have to go through this base, right? But you could just go through this pathway too. So it's not like as bad as that other area that we just looked at. But it is some case where like having a bit more space to space things out and make things a little bit more open and interesting, that would contribute positively, I think, to the overall message or the overall setup that we have over here. And here we're kind of constraining the amount of mobility you have with rotations if you're coming through the south or coming through the north, but from the left side as opposed to the right side. So I'm not sure if I actually think that this is going to make this area better objectively, but I do feel like there's a good chance that it at least adds a specific kind of gameplay to the area. Since you can head off any attackers that are coming your way. All right. Now we're talking, dude. I also, in general, like to allow. I think it's more interesting, rather, when you have situations like multiple bases being somewhat close in proximity, but still allowing for multiple teams to have ownership over those areas, or like something to that effect, right? So, like an obvious case would be if you were. Oh, actually, I'm not even sure how this is going to work out. But if you were in a situation where the like you had this base and your enemy had this base, how do you coexist without like making it so obvious that you can't have one team have both bases or one enemy from another enemy having like sharing space in that area? I'm not saying coexist in the sense of not attacking them. Like, how do you allow for separate teams to contest the areas and still potentially gain value from the expansions in those areas? Like, that's really where I think it's an interesting puzzle to solve, I guess, from a map making point of view. And definitely something I have I've been thinking about. I guess that's what that was. All right. I think we're screwing around enough over here. All right. Still want to fill in this area, and obviously I still have to fill in the orange area. I think a little bit of higher ground would be appreciated over here, assuming I can get the right kind. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's actually advisable or not. I definitely feel like maybe build space is a little too infrequently accessible, because there are some areas where there's a decent amount of build space. Like, even after filling in this area a bit, I think there's a decent amount there. Obviously, a decent amount in the player's base, decent amount in front of the player's base, and this ramp over here. Pretty good amount over here as well. You know, on the low ground over here, obviously this player is going to have a decent amount. So yeah, I don't know. Ultimately, it's down to like accessing it, right? But like the AI will probably struggle in this position to place its structures in a reasonable manner. So not sure what to make of that right now, but something worth considering. I think that's kind of inevitable, though, with the level of detail I like to go in with the number of pathways and number of assets and stuff in the maps that I like to make. It's almost not feasible for me to make content that doesn't have that sort of approach. I don't know. It seems a little difficult, I guess, for me to conceptualize map making without such an end result. No, just that one, I guess. Aha, I see. I made an error in knowing which one was going to be used there. Hard to follow that stuff sometimes. Pretty nice stuff, I think. We're getting a little snappy at slapping together these smaller details. I don't think we need that one over there. All right. So, okay. I think we've done pretty good amount of work on the bottom strip, and obviously we filled in the top left a little bit and made some tweaks to the top right. So I definitely feel like we're getting somewhere over there. And now it's time to slap together Orange's base. Now, since this guy is indeed isolated, I definitely will be a little bit generous to him. He's all by his lonesome. So what are we giving him? We can throw a couple more. At least one more. There you go, 13 minerals, because you're such an unlucky motherfucker. And he'll probably end up having the most build space out of any player, if I had to guess. All right. Okay. Almost done. And I saw this little bit over here. I do like that scrolling through some of these lists has gotten so ridiculously it's a task that takes a very long time, I'll put it to you that way. All right. I think we're good to go. I mean, obviously there definitely needs to be more decoration and probably need to fill out a little bit more on some of these other areas. Like in the bottom right and maybe some parts of the midsection over here above the ice river. But I don't mind this at all. I think this is a good session. So let me take this moment to briefly take a look at another map that is going to be in this same area. Aircraft, toilet. So this is Veek's map. He put this together and started adding bases and stuff. I think he's planning on converting the river to swamp, judging, or at least in some areas, judging by the jungle tiles that have been put over there. Let me just make sure that I've got the latest version. Yeah, looks like that's the case. So as far as I understand, we've got players 1 and 2 are the player and the ally, so red and blue. And so they're going to be starting in the bottom right. Which is something that if I'm making a series of missions, either a scenario pack or something else like an actual campaign, I do try to vary the position that the player starts in relative to their opponents so that they're not always starting in, for example, the top left or the middle or the, wherever. So it's cool, kind of cool that if this were going to be the second map, it's going to slot in nicely giving you a bit of an opposite start to where you just were, positionally speaking. I don't actually remember how big this map is. It's the same size as mine. Perfect. So obviously the ramps are not in just yet, but you can already kind of see where this is going to go. There's going to be like ramps over here, maybe one down here as well, or something like that for a nice base over there. Probably purple's natural if I had to guess. I would expect maybe there to be a resource, some sort of res area over here, and then give it like some cover on the other side so that it has a bit of cover from the bridge and can be walled off if necessary. And that could be like purple's natural. I don't know if races have already been decided. You, by the way, you, them, Greedquare. Oh yeah, Greedquare is going to be a specific version of iQuare, I guess. I don't know. I don't fully remember what conversation we had, but yeah, it looks like everything's user select, so it hasn't been configured yet. But purple and orange are going to be on the same team, and teal is going to be our solo player for the free for all. But you can see ramps here, probably like ramps here if I had to guess. I don't know. But yeah, we'll figure all that stuff out as time goes on. My one concern right now is that there's probably not enough bases for the AI compared to the number of bases that are in relatively close proximity to the players. Like this clearly is like a nice safe blue nat. This would be red's nat. This would be like red's third. And then presumably there's going to be like more scattered around. But like I was saying earlier, that the map isn't fully fleshed out yet. So, but it does show off DF's work on the swamp colored water or whatever, the darker water for jungle compared to what we have in Badlands, which is nice and bright. So that's kind of cool. I definitely like the well, I guess it's not very bright now that I think about it because it's Nightlands, but whatever, you get the idea. It's brighter probably. But I like the changes. I saw an earlier version of this map where there were no resource areas. I think there were just start locations. So definitely has some stuff there. And one thing that I did yesterday, but I didn't really comment on, is that there's now map dev images. So Veek has followed suit with that and posted the this draft of the map from today. and I will be posting my updated map dev image from my version of the map. So, but yeah, I can definitely sort of picture where the engagements are going to take place and where the ramps are going to be. It's coming along. It is a bit of a retread in a, well, not really retread, but it feels a little weird since it's going to be very similar to what I am doing, where there's one free for all player and then it's otherwise a 2v2. But I think that's fine because there's only so much you can do with smaller scale maps, and you can't really do larger scale maps until we extend the in-game unit limit and some other stuff. And obviously, we don't have time to do larger scale maps anyway, even if we did have those opportunities. So I think we'll probably be able to bang out like 3-4 max maps in the short amount of time that we have. Though honestly, who knows? Who knows what will happen? Anyway, I think it's about time for me to BRB. So BRB. Wait, hold on. I got to give you the real mod stream treatment. All right. So anyway, we're back now. That was a very fast BRB as usual. So I did want to mention that I forget what I was actually going to say there. I had something in mind to mention. I think for the most part, this week will be pretty epic because we're focused on this full toilet stuff, but that'll be over and done with by Tuesday in terms of working on it, and then hopefully within the next day or so, I'll have live streamed the playthroughs of my work and Icor's work. I guess Veek and I's work. So that'll be pretty cool. Aside from that, should be pretty cool to get some more work done on what's it called? The Inconsummate wrap-up video. That's definitely something I want to make progress on. Of course, I first draw an X. We know what that means, boys. Where's the D? So I don't really have any particular plan in mind for this this here map. Honestly, I'm not even sure if we'll have enough time to get 3 working maps operational, but I would at least like to make 3, Feel like it's in my duty. It's in my duty, by the way. The 3's in my blood. It's all I know. Oh, interesting. This is all sorts of fucked up. Oh, you. I'd like to definitely get the Inconsummate video done by the end of this week as well. But I'll at least be able to make sure that I get some recordings done on it. That'll be big. Oh, wait, I see what happened here. All right. I always am very anal about how these environments end up looking, given they are supposed to be designed, right? Which is kind of a stupid thing in a comedy project, or a project that just doesn't take itself as seriously. We'll see how these grids end up helping us, if they end up helping us. Listening to some drum and bass, and I really wonder why there are so many British voiceovers in these drum and bass videos. Definitely seems a little odd. Trying to line this up here. Such a minuscule little bit, but like I don't think it necessarily quote unquote matters. But god damn it, it's something I want to do. Definitely not going to be doing any crazy what do you call it? Oh, wait. Not going to be doing any like asteroid terrain or anything crazy like that. Forget where the colors are at. Burnt umber, bro. All right, we're making some progress here. Though this is a map where I'm not really fully sure where a lot of the like start locations are going to be. I guess the main issue that I always have when I'm making these kinds of maps is like I always have to make some sort of sacrifice to one angle or another, and I always choose gameplay over story or whatever. So like I'll oftentimes back myself into some sort of corner where I'm not sure if conceptually the fact that I, you know, adhered to a certain style of design initially has like precluded my layout from being useful or in the context of gameplay or something like that. So it can be quite challenging to balance those aspects. But at least I've got some weird abstract shapes here. And that's what matters. I can already tell you this map is going to have crazy defender's advantage in a few places. Just zoning out some areas to work on later. I feel like stuff like this sort of connective tissue, if you will, between like these different elements can really help to sync up, like connect certain areas to each other when you're dealing with something man-made or whatever. But anybody's guess as to how successful that will be. Obviously, the shapes are not exactly inspiring right now. I don't know why I picked space platform for this particular map, considering this is map crap, and man-made environments for me always need a lot of iteration where I'm satisfied with them. But you know, shit happens, I guess. Too bad I couldn't just recycle the Deliverance environments. You know, that was another major reason why I wanted to get rid of, or not get rid of, why I didn't feel compelled to continue working with Deliverance. Because ultimately, like, you wouldn't even be able to experience the layouts the way that I wanted people to be able to experience them. Because those layouts are meant for, like, large-scale combat, massive numbers of units, crazy amounts of stuff going down at all fronts. And yet, good luck ever realizing that fully when you have pretty much no power to do so. Considering the unit limits and shit like that, you know? It's just too ambitious for this sort of point in time within Brood Wars modability. All right. I sort of maybe know what to do next here and what to do with some of the options, what to do with some of the areas. But I don't really know is the problem. Placing this stuff reminds me of placing all of the installation doodads and cliffs and whatnot in Badlands. Really, I should just like placeholder tile all this shit because I don't know where the ramps are going to be. So, and that will dramatically change how, like the balance of individual tiles and variants and stuff. Even though it looks very ugly. Really, we only need to do the little bits that are still left over there because this is all the same tile type. There's no actual gameplay difference between the two tiles. Mm. I guess I don't have any brushes for the other variants here. I have this. Oh, okay, that's it. It's just listed incorrectly for some reason. All right, now we're talking, I think. Yeah, we're going to need to extend this out one more. Other than that, I think we're looking all right. I wonder if maybe I screwed something up here. Usually, if you have to ask that question, answer is yes. Because this is 2 deep, right? 2 tiles deep, but this one is 3. Because I think this inner corner kind of threw me off, so I think actually it should be pulled down by 1 to be symmetrical with the other one. Yeah, I think that's right. And this looks like it should be accurate as well. Though it's hard to say for certain. I guess the other big issue with this system here is that you don't have a lot of maneuverability as soon as you come in. Oh, wait. That was the wrong one. Because of that, I think what I'll probably end up doing is pulling this in a little bit, like so. Maybe even more than that. Maybe we'll just seal up the whole gap. And then we can connect it like that. Very subtle hint at the extension over there. I guess we could just pull this whole thing in, but I like the fact that there's a little bit of angularity there. And then we can do... Oh, that's the wrong one. Something like that. And now you got more space to play around with there. I'm not sure about this, though. I think maybe we'll keep it pulled back like so, and then... Okay. Let's try putting this idea into practice. We're kind of like moving this whole thing down by one, which is something to keep in mind. But we're not trying to be symmetrical across multiple angles, so I don't think it matters that much. And besides, this gives us a little bit more maneuvering room as well. Although I do wonder about the... Since we're like pulling this down, right? Gives us less space over here. I think maybe we should move the ramps over here down like further away a little bit, and then we can like bring this in, right? Can sort of add that. A little bit more space, generally speaking. Because we do need to slap down a ramp over here, so not having any space at all seems like a bad idea. For clear reasons, I think. I do think that This will probably still work out as a layout, even though it's got some things that are working against it, like the fact that it's man-made, and I'm trying to like quickly bypass some of the personal hard code, just the habits that I have. But yeah, I think that should be fine. We'll have like a resources over here, as this will be an expansion of some sort. I do think we're going to need to take this and pull it down though. Just to open up more space and maneuvering and build space. Big deals in here. Obviously, there'll be like somebody playing from this position, I think. We never like fully settled on a path out of this area. I think I will have to rework this area so there's more mobility. And I think we can conceptualize this whole area as linked together, actually. We kind of lose out on part of our abstract art there, our bizarre pattern. But I still think it's better this way than worrying about tying everything together. So I'm trying to add a little bit more variance to some of these areas. A little bit more angular aspects or whatever you want to call that shit. All right, I think we'll be good to go over here. All right. Now, what I kind of want to do for the final map of this project is I kind of want to throw the player and their ally directly in the middle of everything. And so I think this area, rather than being a starting location, as I initially thought it might result in, I actually would prefer if this area was like a key hotspot in this region, and the player was like over here on the low ground or medium ground, technically. And so we would have like one player in this low platform area, maybe one player more, maybe both players on one team, like the United. So this is a 2v2v2. And so maybe the United End Directorate is over here and over here. I would actually prefer if like one of them was in the bottom right, one of them was in the bottom left, but we'll see about that. And then we can have like Biquare, the team Biquare, on top left and top right over there, sort of isolated. Or we could even do a more bizarre approach of putting like Biquare player 1 over in the top left, Biquare player 2 in the bottom left, and UED player 1 in the top right, UED player 2 in the bottom right, and then the player and their ally can be like in the middle, kind of caught in the crossfire. I feel like that could be pretty entertaining, but I'm not really sure how much longer this session is going to be. I guess it's only been an hour and a half, even though it feels like it's been way longer. I have been recovering from that sort of injury that I say injury, but it was more like I was so fucking I exerted for a very long amount of time. I'll put it to you that way. It was nuts. Oh, I guess if we're gonna be doing this kind of deal where we make this an actual gameplay area, we should probably provide a bit better mobility than that. I don't think this will be a base area, but what it will be is a nice access point, especially if we decide to go for that idea of having like this 2v2v2 be split left to right instead of top to bottom. This will be like Biquare 1 versus UED 1, and this will be a nice like avenue for them to attack each other. Like the main point, if we're going to have a situation like what I was describing, where we have the player in the middle, they're kind of like on their own, and they have to I mean, obviously they have an AI ally, but them as a team are on their own, and they're like caught in the middle of the crossfire. There need to be ways for, like, say, the bottom players to attack the top players of either team without necessarily having to go through the player's base, so that the player or the player's team can adequately defend and scout out. Otherwise, this might end up being an inadvertently impossible map, which is obviously not necessarily what we're looking for here. Last week, I guess, Alexander was asking me about Warlords Battlecry 3. And I was reminded of the Protectors mod. And I think I should probably play some more of that at some point once I think they're working on a big patch. So we'll see what comes of that. That doesn't seem right to me. Yeah, that's what I thought. That still doesn't seem right to me, though. Do I just suck at math, or? I guess it's possible this isn't perfectly centered, and that's why there's more space on this side. In fact, I would not be surprised if that was the case. Yeah, that's probably just... That's map crap for you. That's fine. No issues. Don't see any problems here, guys. What's the problem, man? I think that's a line. If you shoot the Antifa guys in Counter Strike, if you're on their team and you shoot them, they go, "What's your problem, man?" Pretty haha. Not gonna lie. I think I have bridges somewhere in this mess. At least I thought I did. Oh, here we go. I like how even my biggest brush palette is not enough. Guess we can just copy this and paste it again. There's still no feature to like lock terrain so that you can't ISOM paint over it. Would be really nice if you could do that. Excuse me. I'm sure somebody will timestamp that and say, "Bless you." And if somebody does that, I hope everybody here yells at him or her. All right. We're starting to get somewhere with this kooky ass map. Okay. Well, I guess the next thing is figuring out how I want the. I'm probably gonna have these bridges be different. Like this, these two are similar because there's like this thing that kind of bridges the gap there. No pun intended, but I think we'll have a different approach to some of this other stuff. This will be purely, I mean, technically you can like land on it or whatever, but there's not going to be any ramps over here. This is mostly decorative and for pathfinding and stuff. Like blocking certain paths and adding a bit of padding to the overall experience. Obviously, we might flesh some of this stuff in with more doodads and whatnot, cliff doodads later on. Yeah, should be good there. I also find that generally speaking, whenever I have a situation where I'm working on a map and I'm trying to like really figure out what the map will look like, it's easy to say that you can conceptualize where resources are going to be placed, but until you do it, you really don't know that much about like how the map itself is going to be laid out. And I feel like that's something that, generally speaking, if you're struggling to find some sort of identity for the map that you're working on, placing resources and placing some start locations for the AI and stuff, and the players in general that are going to be on the map. I mean, this obviously works for melee maps as well. I think that's like a really solid way of figuring out where you might want to go next with your map, be it crap or otherwise. It's sort of like the same thing if you have an area and you haven't placed the ramps yet, but you know roughly where they're going to be, or you haven't figured out all the pathways yet, but you know roughly where they're going to be. Like getting past the canvas stage or the early access, like early beta stage or whatever of whatever your map, whatever your map's layout is all about. That can be a really beneficial aspect, generally speaking, to figuring out what needs to be done. It's one of the main reasons why I try to, if I'm going to actually attempt to flesh out an area, one of the first things that I try to do is like get the cliffs and some basic identity for the borders and stuff. And then I try to like place the ramps and figure out the pathways. And then I try to place the resources. You can kind of boil it down to a process that's somewhat like that. But obviously, whatever you may prefer some different pathway or different path to completion than what I do. Something else might work better for you. But Okay. Not really crazy about weird patterns like that for cliffs, but I do think it makes them function better in an RTS, and aesthetically, if you take your head out of the fact that it's supposed to be a real world environment, it doesn't it's not too bad on the immersion side, I don't think. But aesthetically it also like is a nice different pattern or whatever. All right, so we know that we've got 5 and 6 are our bi-core players. So I think I'll go ahead and drop 5 over here, 6 down here. One will be roughly around this area, I think. I'm not sure where to put this guy. Like maybe there is going to be a player like that or whatever. We shall see. So that's sort of the rough cut right now. You know what I mean? Let's see if there's any iQuare updates. Probably not. I think the update is he's snoozing, if I had to guess. I'll check to see if there's anything else. Doesn't appear to be the case. All right. So I guess we can close this for now. I don't think I'll have any need for any of these HYDRA things to be open. Still want to get some voice acting done for the Lazarus agent using Apostle. I would also like to get some reads in for like when the ability is activated, because right now we don't have anything. I'd prefer not to use like the same fucking effects a million places, even as a placeholder. But we'll see what happens. So yeah, actually, this map shaped up, relatively quickly, even though like it's not even been an hour that I've been working on this. I'm happy about the turnover in that respect. I think we'll have something like this as a setup over here. And then we can throw in the other ramp, or other bridge rather. Don't think I'll be extending the width of this one, but if I do, it'll only be by one tile, and it'll be sometime in the future. We might even throw like a base over here, honestly, just for the sake of it. Yeah, this stuff is like almost a complete anathema to what how I normally design these maps or these environments. We'll see though. Might be a good opportunity to imagine a better method. In the future. Okay. Not sure about this long fucking thing, but maybe if I do something like this, be a bit more attractive visually, but also you can like position some more units over there or something. I don't know. This is an AI space. It's not going to be that big in terms of how it's utilized, but certainly something to think about. At least it gives me something, like the existing material gives me something to look at when I'm trying to figure out like how to design the next area. So thinking about how to proceed from here. And I'm not exactly coming up with anything epic just yet. Yeah, that'll do, I think. Nice. We're getting somewhere over here. I think we've got half of the players' starting locations, at least to the point where I could start adding resources for them. I just don't know about, like we've got a pretty good idea. We can do, like, 2 bases in that area. Maybe we could pull this area out a little bit more. And then suddenly it might make sense to add a resource area over here or something. Like, I could see a potential argument for it. There's like a nice contested base between these two players. I think the red player will probably end up having a very different, like, what do you call it? Like, they'll probably have a lot of resources in one base, but eventually run out of them, right? And need to aggress from there. I also think maybe the AI ally will be in that position that I was previously putting the player in, just because I kind of like the idea of the player being smack dab in the middle on the high ground and, like, feeling like, oh shit, I can do stuff, but I'm not sure just yet how I want that to play out. Easy. So yeah, I'm here. I'm pretty happy with that stuff. I'm pretty happy with what we've been able to do today. And it's only not even. It's not even. Oh no, it is. It's not even 3 in the afternoon. There you go. And we just cracked 2 hours as well, which I wasn't sure if we were going to do today. But yeah, that all said, I'm really looking forward to finishing this draft up later on in the day. But for now, I think we can go ahead and save the map image. And I'll go ahead and manually navigate my way there. All right. So I think we're good there. We're all set to go. And we're out of here. So thanks for hanging out. Catch you guys tomorrow, hopefully live. If the tech does his job, we'll be able to do a live one for a change. Back to business. So see you then.